Alya Sometimes Hides Her Feelings in Russian is my new favorite romance series, and I can't help but do another video gushing about it. The fact that an anime was announced right after my last video was released doesn't help. And while we don't have a date for the series as of yet, since I just finished reading book 3 of the series, I wanted to go back and do a deep dive into this wonderful book about the masks we wear and hiding our feelings. Welcome once again to Musings by Danon. I've been watching anime since 1985, and I'm currently reading over 600 manga and light novel series. This, combined with a study in English literature, has allowed me to have a pretty good understanding of story structure, character archetypes, and themes. This also makes it easier for me to recommend anime, manga, and light novels to people who might not have heard of that specific series before. But before we get into the video, I just wanted to ask you to like and subscribe. It really does help the channel, and it's free. With that out of the way, let's get back into the video. Quick warning, I do intend to spoil some things about this series, namely characters and their relationships with each other. I apologize for that, but in order to discuss the various characters, both their public personas as well as their hidden true selves, that does mean there will be spoilers. I'll try to keep them light and not plot related, but in order to do this video justice, there will be things discussed from all 3 of the currently translated books. Our story begins with the titular Alya walking to school. Alya is described as having an almost otherworldly beauty. The fairest of skin, hair so light it appears silver, deep blue eyes you can drown yourself in. But she always comes across as cold. Part of that is her stoic nature, but mostly it's because everyone she's met won't live up to her standards. Why should she get close to someone when all her life she's been disappointed in people? But there was one boy who surprised her. You see, Alya's father traveled for work. Her early childhood was spent in Japan. Then she moved to Russia until 8th grade, when they moved back to Japan. Alya's entrance in the private schools shocked everyone. The entrance exam for students trying to enter mid-year was considered exceptionally difficult, but Alya cruised through it. She scored higher than anyone in the school's history. She then proceeded to earn the top spot in her grade and hold it for the rest of the year. But she remained aloof, earning herself the title of Solitary Princess. Only one person was able to get close to her. Quick aside, Alya's name isn't Alya. It's Alisa Mikhailovna Kujo. It is common in Russia to have a nickname known only to family members. And for some reason that puzzles the entire student body, the laziest boy in class calls her Alya. Many people in school refer to the Solitary Princess by her nickname, but Masachika Kuze is the only one who calls her that to her face, and no one knows why. The reason is simple. He got permission. But what could have possibly led up to that exchange? Well, I'll tell you, but it requires a bit of backstory. When Alya was young and still in Russia, around 4th grade, she was part of a group project. She wanted to do her best and worked hard on the assignment. But even though the others said they'd also try their best, all of them fell through. Alya was crushed, and was even teased by her classmates as a goody-goody. It's just a stupid assignment, why are you trying so hard? This wound up being a defining moment in young Alya's life. Since no one could live up to her expectations, she wouldn't rely on anyone. And now you can see why she's so cold and almost ruthless to her classmates. Until one day, as she stayed after class preparing for the upcoming school festival, fingers covered in bandages from multiple self-inflicted needle stabs. Alya's not the best at sewing. Who should arrive but Masachika Kuze, the laziest boy in class? Alya is still shocked that someone like him, someone who forgets his books, sleeps in class, and is just a lazy layabout, could possibly attend this prestigious school. But her measure of him is about to change, at least for a little bit. Kuze had already talked with everyone in class and arranged it so that the handicrafts club would handle sewing the costumes. In exchange, their class would help out in other areas. Alya is shocked. How did Kuze pull this off? Before she knew it, the school festival went off without a hitch and everyone in class helped make it a great memory. And the one who pulled the strings, the shadow behind the curtain, was Kuze. He didn't look for glory. He didn't care about being the best. He just wanted everyone to be happy. As thanks for helping Alya experience her first ever fun school festival, she offered a favor to Kuze. His request? He wanted to call her Alya. Of course, the next day, and every day for the next year, Kuze returned to being a feckless layabout. Sleeping in class, forgetting his books, barely passing tests so he wouldn't have to take summer classes. He was an idiot, but Alya couldn't help but find him cute. But there's no way she could ever say that aloud. At least, not in Japanese. But in Russian? Our titular loner princess could be honest with her feelings if she spoke them in Russian. After all, there's no way a Japanese boy would understand Russian. And that is the central premise of the series. Alya sometimes says unbelievable things in Russian, assuming that no one could possibly understand her. Unless this boy spent his formative years living with his Russian-obsessed grandfather, watching Russian films over and over to the point of becoming fairly proficient in the language. And maybe he had a childhood friend who was Russian. A girl that he was in love with who suddenly had to move away. But it is not the only reason I fell in love with this series, and why it now ranks so high on my list of romance series. The real reason's a bit deeper. Every single character in this series wears a mask, and my enjoyment comes from discovering what lies beneath their masks. Alya is a tsundere who's only honest when she's speaking Russian. Kizu pretends to be a useless layabout, and though he does have a brain warped by the anime and the 2D world, he's actually a genius who wants to make Alya shine even brighter. Though the most interesting mask in the entire series, at least in my opinion, is the one worn by Yuki Suo, Kizu's childhood friend. At least, that's what they're claiming their relationship is. In reality, Yuki is Kuze's sister. Their parents divorced, Kizu refusing his maternal grandfather's demands to be the next heir, was disinherited, and forced to change his name to his father's name. So no one at school knows that Yuki is actually Kizu's sister. At school, Yuki wears a mask and everyone thinks she's a princess. She was student council president in middle school and is the favorite to win this upcoming election. But in reality, she's one of the biggest Chinubio I've ever read. She watches anime all the time, has a massive collection of figures and merch, all stored in her brother's room, of course, and is part of the reason why Kuze is up late at night. After the late-night episodes of anime air, the two of them stay up until the wee hours of the morning discussing the episodes and making predictions for next week. The dichotomy between Yuki's public persona and how she is at home is stunning. Kuze's used to it, but the first time we see it is rather shocking. She's also one of those teasing-type little sisters who tries to get her Oni-san's heart racing. Not that she's too serious about it. The series is chock full of characters like that, and getting to glimpse them behind their facade is one of the things I look forward to. But it's only one aspect of the series. Alya sometimes hides her feelings in Russian is a romance. It's not a harem romance, but one where two individuals realize their feelings for each other and fall in love. But it's also a long-form romance. Daddy Katakawa wants those book sales, after all. Alya wants to shine. She wants to be the best and for everyone to know it. And Kuze is there to support her. He doesn't care about personal glory or the spotlight. He wants Alya to shine just as much as she does. And Alya loves him for it. Though she could never say that out loud. At least, not in Japanese. And that's part of what makes this series so wonderful. Kuze understands every single word that Alya says, and it's driving him crazy. He tries to shut it off, tries not to react, but it's hard. What is he supposed to think when she calls him cute? Is it me she's talking about, or did she see a bird? What does pay attention to me mean? Is she referring to Yuki? There's no way she could mean me. So poor Kuze is stuck having to pretend that he doesn't understand a word she's saying. But when she asks for help in Russian, Kuze can't help but rescue her. Now, I'm not the only one who thinks the series is amazing. At the 2021 Next Light Novel Awards, the series took first place in the Librarian's Choice category, second in web publication, and 9th overall. But you don't have to take their word for it either. Miki Yoshikawa, the mangaka behind Yamada-kun and the Seven Witches, as well as a couple of cuckoos, also highly recommends this series. Seriously, do yourself a favor and pick this series up. I promise, if you're a fan of romance, you will love it. I've reread book 1 already and plan to reread 2 and 3 here in a bit. This series is seriously a contender for my favorite romance of all time. The only other romance I've reread was My Dress-Up Darling, which is my favorite romance manga. This series, you don't have the advantage of images on every page, but the way the author describes every scene lets you visualize it perfectly anyway. So go on, give it a read. Link to the series down below. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, a huge shout out to Mentor to Cute Stuff. I couldn't make these videos without her. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, she can be reached at cutestuff.edits@gmail.com. Link is down below. If you're looking for ways to support the channel directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/Danon. There are several tiers to choose from. You can pick an anime or manga for me to do a video about, or you can join our monthly manga club. I also want to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons: Waffles, Jiraiya, Muffins, Marcus, Phoenix of Ice, Squishy, Brett, Roxy, Josh, Sean, Richard, Pob Zombie, Mark, Danny, Alex, John, Ignis, and Daniel. You guys are awesome. I post anime or manga videos often, or you can click here to watch additional videos. If you're looking for Commander content, I split my channel last year, so all new Commander videos are over on my other channel, Commander by Danon. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again next time on Musings by Danon.